All right, let's settle one of those classic what-if questions. You know, the kind you might debate with your friends. What would actually happen if you took one of the most terrifying human fighters ever and put him up against nature's own powerhouses? We're going to break it down matchup by matchup.
So the question seems simple enough, right? But the answer, well, it gets really complicated really fast. We're essentially going to climb the primate family tree fight by fight to figure out exactly where the line is, the line where human skill just can't compete with the raw laws of physics.
Okay, let's meet our human champion, Wanderlei Silva, aka the Axe Murderer. Now, if you know anything about MMA, that name alone tells you everything. This guy was an absolute buzzsaw, one of the most aggressive, powerful, and downright violent strikers to ever step in a ring. He is our gold standard for peak human fighting ability.
We're going to start small, ease into it. In these first couple of fights, we'll see how Wanderlei's world-class training, his size advantage, and his power hold up against some of the smaller but still incredibly wild opponents.
First up to the plate, the spider monkey. We're talking about an animal that is just a blur of motion, unbelievably fast and agile. But how does all that speed and agility really stack up against a trained professional killer?
Let's just look at the tail of the tape here, because the numbers don't lie. Silva's walking in with a weight advantage of literally 10-1. But the real story is the force. Silva's punch is hitting with 2,500 newtons of force. The monkey's best weapon? A 300 psi bite. When the size difference is this massive, the physics is, well, it's pretty brutal and straightforward.
Yeah, so the verdict here? It's not even a contest. Silva wins, hands down. His sheer mass, his trained technique, and that knockout power, it would just be completely overwhelming. That's round one in the bag.
All right, on to round two, the baboon. Now this is a serious jump in the danger level. We're talking a lot more weight, a way more aggressive animal, and frankly, some truly scary natural weapons.
So the baboon comes in at around 80 pounds, and its bite force has doubled to 600 psi. Its canine teeth are basically daggers. But, and this is the most important part, look at Silva's advantages. He's still got the weight for sure, but the killer stat is that 4 times reach advantage. In a fight, that is everything. It means he can hit the baboon from a distance where it can't even touch him.
So, our verdict is a win for Silva, but it's a conditional win. If he uses that reach, stays on the outside, and lands one of his signature power shots early, he takes it. But, and this is a big but, if that baboon manages to close the distance and sink those teeth in, it is a whole different ballgame. For now, skill and strategy are still winning the day.
Okay, take a breath, because this next section, this is where everything changes. From this point on, all that human skill, all that training and fight IQ, it starts to matter a whole lot less than the cold, hard, brutal laws of physics.
And our next challenger is the chimpanzee. Now, on paper, you might think, okay, it's about 100 pounds, not that much bigger than the baboon, so what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is a fundamental biological difference that you can't see just by looking at it.
The secret weapon here is muscle density. This is so important to understand. Pound for pound, a chimp's muscle fiber is just constructed differently than ours. It can generate way more force from the exact same amount of muscle. This is the hidden power-up that completely changes the entire fight. How much more force are we talking about? Let's just focus on the single most terrifying statistic. When it comes to pulling strength, the ability to just grab and rip, a chimp is estimated to be 4 times stronger than a human male. 4 times. And this right here just puts it in perfect perspective. An elite human athlete might have a grip strength of around 300 newtons. The chimp? We're talking 1,200. What does that mean? It means if a chimp grabs you, you are not getting away. It's that simple. All of Silva's striking ability means absolutely nothing if his arms are pinned by that kind of power.
So for the first time, we have to call it. It's a loss for the human champion. The chimp's explosive, shocking power, that 4 times stronger grip, and a bone-crushing 1,300 psi bite, it's just too much to overcome. Physics has officially taken the lead.
Now we're entering a whole new league. If the chimp was the turning point, this next stage is the realm of the true titans. In these final rounds, the gap in raw power becomes so huge that this stops being a fight and starts being a simple physics problem with a very obvious answer. Meet the orangutan. We often see them as these slow, gentle creatures, but don't let that calm demeanor fool you.
When it comes to pure functional strength, an orangutan is an absolute monster of leverage and crushing power.
Let's just run through the advantages, because they're insane. First, an arm span up to 7 feet. That's a reach advantage that's almost impossible to deal with. They can lift over 500 pounds. Put those two things together, and what you get is immense, inescapable leverage in any kind of grappling or clinch situation.
The verdict here is crystal clear. The orangutan wins, and it wouldn't be a frantic, wild fight. It would be a slow, deliberate victory based on pure, overwhelming strength. It would get a grip, and that would be the end of the story.
And so, we've arrived at the final round. The final boss, the silverback gorilla. We are talking about a 400-pound animal that's estimated to have the strength of something like 20 adult men. This isn't just an animal anymore, it's a force of nature.
This chart tells you everything you need to know. We measure strike impact in joules of energy. A truly devastating punch from Wanderlei Silva in his prime might generate about 1,000 joules. You know what a casual arm swing from a silverback generates? Around 20,000 joules. That's a 20-to-1 difference in power. It's not even in the same sport, let alone the same ballpark.
So the verdict? Let's not even mince words. It is pure total annihilation. Unarmed, there is not a single human being on this planet, no matter how skilled or how tough, that stands any chance. The power difference is like a person trying to fistfight a car.
So after this whole journey up the primate ladder, from the spider monkey all the way to the silverback, what's the big takeaway? We've seen a very clear, very dramatic shift from a world where skill is king to a world where it's almost completely irrelevant.
And really, it all just boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. Human skill, our intelligence, our training, these are amazing tools that let us overcome incredible challenges. But there is a hard ceiling. There is a point where the simple, brutal, and undeniable laws of physics just step in and end the conversation before it even starts.